Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Curtis. I have opened the queue just a couple of minutes early here, so we'll give everyone else a few more minutes to get those calendar invites, settle in, grab a comfy spot, maybe a beverage and a snack. And yeah, we'll get started in 2 minutes. That will give me a few more minutes for my caffeine to kick in for this morning. I got a nice cup of tea. So yeah, I'll be talking to you very soon. All right. Hello, howdy, hi, and a big warm welcome from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where the birds are actually starting to migrate now. So it's a little bit noisy outside. So hopefully you don't hear them chirping away. But my name is Curtis Dohaniak, and I am a product expert with Replicon. And today I will be your guide and host on our feature webinar presentation, the #1 way for businesses to thrive in 2021 and beyond. And today we will be exploring how Replicon can not only help you adapt to, well, all the changes that are happening currently, as well as all the changes in the future with our rapidly growing, expanding, and evolving platform. So here is a quick review of everything we will take a look at today. We're going to do an overview of the platform just so you can get a better understanding of what Replicon is. We're going to show you how Replicon can help you thrive in 2021 and beyond. Then we will hop into a demo so you can see all the platform's inner workings in action. Then we'll take a look at a few customer transformations. And finally, we will finish off with a Q&A. So just a few housekeeping notes before we continue. Throughout the webinar, you will be on mute, but do not worry. If you have any burning questions that pop into your brain at any point in time, feel free to submit them in the question box at the bottom of your screen. Yes, I'm pointing at the bottom of the screen. You just can't see it. I always do that. I don't know why, but we will get to them all at the end of the webinar. And that being said, if you do submit a question during the webinar and I don't answer it right away, don't feel like I'm not ignoring you, because I'm not. Just trying to keep the flow, everything going, and then we can answer everything when I can focus 100% on your questions at the very end. That being said, also, maybe a little bit later, you're sitting down, you're getting ready to have a cup of tea, a little snack, watching some TV, and for some strange reason, Replicon pops into your brain. You can always contact us depending on the time zones. If you email me directly, I may or may not answer, but we have people around the globe working for you guys. So if you have any questions at any point in time, feel free to contact us, and there will always be someone at the other end of the line. And finally, if there is a major disaster, maybe my screen turns black, you can't hear my voice anymore, I get sucked into another dimension, feel free to raise your hand, then submit a question. Then I will know that there is something needing my immediate attention, and we'll get everything fixed up so everyone can enjoy the webinar to its fullest. So at Replicon, not only do we believe that people's time is a strategic asset, but we believe it is your most important asset. Time is finite. You only have so much of it available to you. And once it is used up, it is gone forever. There's no getting it back. So you need to treat it like the precious, precious resource that it is. And exactly how much time do you have at your disposal? Well, that depends on the size of your organization. With 500 employees, you will have 1.04 million hours available in a year. 5,000 employees, that's 10.4 million hours annually. And with 50,000 employees, you will have 104 million hours available to you in 1 year. And that is so much time. It's almost unfathomable how much time that is. And it is definitely too much for one person or even one department to manage on their own. And what makes time so difficult to manage? Well, one thing, it is fragmented and tedious. As you can see with Frankie, our poor Franken system here, he has so many moving parts. He has ERP, payroll, CRM, project management, PSA, and HCM, and they are all trying to work together, but not necessarily every piece fits into the puzzle quite so well. And then to compound matters even further, we have on-premises data and databases and on-premises hardware, and quite frankly, not everyone is really working on premises right now. So this just means trying to get your time data where it needs to go can be difficult, to say the least. And this leads to no small list of headaches. As we can see here, some of the issues that organizations face when they're not able to accurately track their time include low utilization rates, chargeback errors, inability to plan to any sort of capacity, decreased profitability, decreased future pipeline and growth, and costing and billing delays. And obviously, those are all things we want to avoid. And organizations are diverse. You have so many different roles that may or may not include finance leaders, operations leaders, delivery leaders, resource managers, billing leaders, and HR leaders. And while they all are using this time data for different reasons, what doesn't change is that they need this data to be clean, accurate, and consistent, and they need to be able to pull it when they need it. So for that, we have created Replicon's Time Intelligence Platform, the powerful platform for all of your time tracking needs. So you will hear me say this more than a couple of times today, but Replicon is so configurable. Every aspect of our platform can be changed to meet your organization's needs. And that includes size. So whether you are that 10-employee startup or that 1 million employee established organization, Replicon can grow and evolve with you. And not only can we grow in size, but we can grow in locations. We are global and secure. So we have multiple languages, currencies, time zones, holiday schedules, payrolls to ensure that every single employee in your organization has that Replicon instance that is set up for their exact needs. And we are secure. We know every single organization's top priority is their security and their data. So we want to make sure that your data does in fact remain your data. So we follow the most stringent security guidelines in the industry. And not only are we global, but we are also mobile. We know that hopefully very soon, not everyone is going to be sitting in front of a computer all day. We're going to be on the go, working with clients, and we just want to ensure that Replicon will be with you wherever you need it. So we have created our mobile apps from the ground up to ensure ease of access for everyone involved wherever they are. And finally, we have artificial intelligence across our platform to ensure that this process is streamlined for everyone. Whether you're an administrator or end user, you'll find artificial intelligence in our platform in things like our chatbot or our smart approval processes. And this is just going to make sure that Replicon is that user-friendly experience for everyone. And we are plug and play. We are bilateral, which means we will fit into any ecosystem. You will be able to get that time data where it needs to go. And in return, you will also be able to send all of your information that you need to get to Replicon with ease. We are plug and play, and we adapt to your ecosystem without a sweat. And one of the amazing things about Replicon is it is a comprehensive suite that is made up of multiple solutions. So these are all mix and match. You can choose as many or as few as makes sense for your organization. As you can see, we have project-based solutions like time and billing, project time and costing, which we'll be focusing in on today, and project resource management. We also have time and attendance and compliance, workforce management, and global paid time off. And if there's something that you see that you piques your interest, you can always tune into our weekly webinars where we dive down a little bit deeper into these specific areas of our platform. And if you start with one solution and you move on to another, you can always add or subtract as you go along. So that's the beauty of our suite, is that we allow you to be what you need it to be. So here's a quick rundown of everything that we will see in action today. We're going to show you how Replicon can help you with your accurate project time tracking. We're going to take a look at our enhanced project costing. We're going to show you how we can streamline your internal chargebacks, R&D tax credit, and capitalization. We will take a look at our global, scalable, and mobile-first platform. And finally, we will take a look at how our powerful analytics and integrations can help you understand all of your data. So without further ado, I think we should hop into the platform so you can see everything in action. So at Replicon, we know that there is so much information that you need to track as an organization. You have work time, you have billable hours, you have non-billable hours, you have project time, you have non-project time, you have time off, you have sick leave, you have hours that are going to make you money, and you have hours that are going to cost you money. And frankly, it can be a lot to manage. So with Replicon, not only do we want to help you track every single one of these hours, but we are going to transform them. And one of the ways that we do this is through our dashboards. And dashboards are the living, breathing culmination of all the data that you have entered into our platform. So as you can see here, on a base level, just like I mentioned a few seconds ago, we can help you track all of your hours. We can help you understand which of your hours are work time, time off, your estimated hours for a year, as well as any of your over allocated hours, which is what we want to avoid. But we can take that a step further and break that down into something like our productivity. And this will show us our project time versus non-project time. And obviously we want to be working on those projects because that's where we're making our money as an organization. And at first glance, this 89% of our time being used towards project time looks like a good ratio, but there is more to the story. And when we break that down even further into our utilization, we will see that things maybe weren't as peachy as we thought. So with utilization, we as an organization should be aiming for about a utilization rate of 70%, which means 70% billable time, and then the rest is non-billable or non-project time. And although we had that 89% of our time being used towards projects, only 57% of our total time is being used for billables. So that means we are only utilizing 57% of our time to technically make money. I know there's a lot that goes into making money, but when you break it down, only 57% of our time is being used for those billables. And this is a number that we want to increase. And we can see right away how that is going to impact our projects. So now we can drill down into our project analyzer and understand how this billable versus non-billable ratio will affect specific projects. So right away, I can see projects like dashboarding, yikes, evaluation of billing systems, evaluation of financial reporting tools, and our evaluation of analytics tools all have a ton of non-billable hours. And these projects are starting to get away from us. So if we want to rein things in and make sure that these projects do not continue to hemorrhage us money, we can see right away with just a couple of clicks where our areas of focus should be as an organization. But we will only be able to log this project information towards projects in our platform if they in fact exist within Replicon. And our platform gives you a number of options when it comes to creating projects. So if you're using a project planning program like, say, Microsoft Projects, you can actually import all of your data and it will be visualized just like you see here. But if you want to create a project on the spot, we give you that option too. And as you heard me say before, and we'll say a couple more times today, at least, we are so configurable. We can create these projects right from the platform itself. So right off the bat, you'll be given a host of options. We can change things like our client. We can actually allocate these between multiple clients, program, billing type, billing rate, time period, time and expense entry, total contract value. The list goes on. And this is just the tip of the iceberg because once we've actually created these projects, we'll actually have a couple more options that we can drill through. So we can change our cost type, our time and expense entry, project currency, total contract value, estimated hours, costs and expenses. The list goes on. We want to ensure that every single one of these projects is exactly what you need it to be. So we give you these options within the platform to ensure that everything is to your liking. And to better understand how all this time is going to filter through all these projects, it's good to understand how they are structured within our platform. So at the top of our project tree are programs, and programs are the larger initiatives within an organization. Now, these programs can contain as many or as few, as you see with our lonely administration and sales business development projects, as you see fit for your organization. And there's a couple other things that you will see a lot in Replicon. One of those is tables, and all these tables have settings that can be changed. Since we're talking cost today, let's just leave that be, but we could also show billing and budgeting information here. And once we have set these tables, we will be able to sort through everything with ease with a couple of clicks. If there's something that piques my interest, maybe I say, you know what, business intelligence practice, that is our biggest program. I wish I could know more. Well, of course you can. We're the Time Intelligence platform. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about this program. If you see this lovely blue font, that means you can drill down and you will be given information on things like hours, cost, billing, and resources on a daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. We will also be able to understand every single project that is housed in this program. So I will be able to see all the projects that are under my care if I'm a project manager. We'll also be able to see which ones are in progress, which have been completed, as well as any archived projects. Now, these archived projects aren't going to track into those live data feeds that we saw previously, like on our dashboards or those program pages, but they are still important because, well, it is your data and you should have access to it. And what these archived projects are going to allow you to understand is areas of success and maybe areas where you can build upon. So you can always go back into these old projects and understand exactly what happened so you can better plan your projects in the future. And once again, when we hop onto this project page, we'll be able to see all the projects we have in this program. We actually have even more table settings here. As you can see, there is a lot available to us. And again, everything is sortable. And again, if I see something that piques my interest, we see this blue font, I can drill down and I'll be given all that live information on hours, cost, and billing. And this is updated in real time. So anytime you enter one point of data towards this platform or this project, you will see that manifested in real time. And this is important because it allows us to be proactive instead of reactive. So unfortunately, at the end of 2018, at the start of 2019, our actual costs were a little bit higher than our estimated cost, to say the least. And this is not ideal. And we allowed this to happen over months. And as we can see, we can break this down daily or weekly. And if I start to see these trends creeping towards the negative, then this is telling me, Curtis, things need to be reined in. We are seeing a negative trend. This is not going to be making us any money. And I can identify that right away and start to understand how our actuals and estimates are shaping up and what we need to do to start to rein things in. But we don't want these projects just to be a simple checkbox on our timesheets, so we break them down even further into some nice digestible chunks or tasks. And these tasks can be broken down even further into subtasks and sub-subtasks. You can really make that task tree that makes sense for your organization. And all of these tasks will also have estimates attached to them. And estimates are important for a couple of reasons. One is they allow you to understand exactly how close to completion a specific task is. Now, we know with people working from home, it can be difficult to see the big picture. You're not always in touch with everyone. And sometimes it can feel like you're kind of working on that treadmill. You're not getting any closer to the end goal. So what we want to do is we want to take everyone off that treadmill and we want to show them how close to completion these tasks actually are and give you a feeling of moving forward. So if I look at interview, for example, we can see I'm 46 out of 50 hours done. That's 92%. If that is in fact the case, that is a good indicator that I can start moving my time elsewhere and start closing out that task. On the inverse, if we look at implementation, it is a little bit over our estimate. So this is a good indicator to me as a project manager that we really need to close out this task so we are not hemorrhaging time. What this also allows us to understand is where we succeed as an organization. So if our user training is consistently coming in under our allocated amount of time, our estimates are always too high, then we can start to build those down in the future. And if we're building these down and we're being able to finish projects quicker, we'll actually be able to book more projects onto our calendar. And by booking more projects, we're going to be making more money. So this really helps us to streamline our pipeline. Similarly, if there is a task like implementation that is always taking us way too much time, well, we build up those estimates. And again, this allows us to accurately predict how many projects we can fit into our pipeline. So we have understood how all of our projects are structured within the platform. Now we are going to need a team working on them. And this may come as a shock to you, but this is all done in the team tab. And not only does our team tab allow us to understand exactly who is working on this project, but it also gives us an example of the permission-driven nature of our platform. So everything in Replicon is controlled by permissions, and this is just to ensure not only people will see the information that they're supposed to see, but also ensuring that every single timesheet entered is clean and accurate. So for example, we're looking at Tammy Benson right now. We can see every single project that she has been assigned to. Not only will she be able to see this project information, but she will not be able to see any other project information in projects, even if they are in the same program. And inside of those projects, she will be only given access to what we need her to see. So if we hop back into financial data reporting fixes, we can actually go onto our team tab here and assign specific tasks to Tammy. And these are the only tasks that Tammy will be able to log time towards. So we can see we can actually prescribe her one task from the task tree. It doesn't have to be the full task tree. There's a lot of flexibility here. And we can also schedule a start and end date. So not only do we control what Tammy can see, but we can also control when she sees it, just to ensure that our time being entered into this system is always going to be clean and accurate. And while understanding exactly who is on this project is important, we also need to see how their hours are being used. So our allocation tab allows us to understand quickly how every single person on this project is being utilized. And there's a couple of different color codes that we'll see here. Blue is going to be hours that are allocated to this project. We have gray, that's hours allocated elsewhere. We have green, which is hours allocated to time off. And I think this is a chartreuse. We'll call it chartreuse. Those are hours allocated to holiday time. Now, what we want to avoid is our arch nemesis here, this little red triangle in the corner, because that means we have hours overallocated. And overallocated hours means overtime, and overtime means increased overhead. And that is a big no-no. That is something we want to avoid. So right off the bat, we can understand exactly how we are utilizing people on this project and if there needs to be a change in how we are utilizing our resources. But if we scroll forward to now, we can see in 2021, things have stagnated a little bit in the past months. As we all know, the world has been volatile. And I really want to get this project jump started so we can close things out. So I'm going to go ahead and add a user and really kick things off here. Now, for many in an organization, this could be a moment of stress because, well, if you have hundreds or thousands of users to sort through, trying to understand who has availability, who has the right skills, who's in the right location, can be a task in itself. So with Replicon, we wanted to make this easy. So not only will you quickly be able to understand exactly how everyone is allocated, but you can sort through different metrics to find the perfect person for every single role. So as much fun as it is waking up nice and early with all the GMT folks, we'll look for someone in North America just to give me some extra beauty sleep here. And I also need someone with a very specific set of skills called Liam Neeson. I don't think he's available, but we do need a Sage architect. And lo and behold, our search has returned one match. Now, maybe in this instance, it's returned a couple matches. We can actually rank them based on their skills in that specific skill. So if Alex is our Sage, we can give him 3 stars. Or if we have a more Sage beginner, we can give them 1 star. And this gives us a better idea of who is going to fit onto each project as we start to allocate these hours. But in this instance, Alex Chu looks to be the choice. Let's just scroll ahead and make sure he's very free in the coming month. So let's go ahead and add Alex to this project. Alex, you are on the team. And now we can quickly assign his hours just as easily. So we can actually allocate a number of hours per day, total hours per time period. So we're looking monthly right now, but also very useful is allocating a percentage of his available hours. So we all know the downfalls of overallocating hours. That's overhead. That's just something we want to avoid. But there's also a downfall if we underallocate Alex's hours. One is Alex is working from home right now, and we want to make sure he always has something to work on. He's moving forward. He's closing out projects. And if we're underallocating and underutilizing our resources, then we're not going to be closing out projects as quickly. And as we see in a common trend, if we're not closing out these projects, then we're not as fitting as many into our pipeline. And then therefore, we are not going to be making as much money. So we want to understand exactly how to utilize every single resource to their maximum potential. Well, that's easy. Allocate 100% of their available hours. This way, you know you're not over allocating or under allocating. We can also choose between allocating on holidays, but in this instance, I don't think we need to. So we are going to go ahead and add Alex. And right away, this is going to have ramifications throughout our platform. So every single one of these users will have a cost associated with them. And this cost can be normalized based on the project, but this will update our estimates like we saw previously on our dashboards, as well as those project and program pages. And again, this just allows us to see how every action will have a reaction throughout the platform. And if we want to understand this resourcing even further, well, we can drill down into our aptly named resource tab and understand how we are using our resources across our whole organization. And again, this is a valuable tool because, well, we want to understand how we are scheduling and how we can do that better. So if I want to see how a specific user has been utilized, we can actually drill down into that specific user and see what projects they have been spending their time on. Now, maybe there's a specific location that we want to understand. Maybe they're costing us a lot of money. We can drill down into specific locations. Maybe there's a project that is causing us some pain points. We saw that financial data reporting fixes was quite an expensive project for a couple of months there at the end of 2018 and early 2019. So we can scroll back in time and see how our hours were being utilized. And again, ensure that we are not overutilizing our resources and understand what happened during a specific time period. And there will be also instances, like maybe in the project planning stages, where we don't exactly know who we need on a project. So for that, we have our placeholder resources. And placeholder resources act like a traditional resource. They can have skills assigned to them and costs, but they are great for the project planning phase because maybe we don't understand exactly who we need on a project or how many employees we are going to need working. So we can start inserting these placeholder resources, see how this is going to affect our estimates, the hours necessary. And then once we have a better understanding of what that project will look like, we can start inserting those real resources resources. We can either do training, hiring, or just allocating the resources we already have. And we don't have to worry about any of that project data being skewed because Replicon's pretty smart. It can crunch the numbers. It's going to tell you exactly what you should expect. So once you replace it with those real resources, there is not going to be any skewed data. So far we have looked at planning projects and resourcing them. And now is the fun part. We get to log our time towards them. And time is something we do so well. Time is really our bread and butter. We call ourselves the time intelligence company for a reason. There exists so many different permutations of timesheets that we could feasibly create a timesheet for every single individual in your organization. And in this instance, you'll see we have a little bit more of a project-oriented timesheet. So here I can enter my time towards a specific client, project, as well as task. And everything here is searchable. We know there are a lot of organizations with hundreds of different job codes. So we want to make it quick and efficient for you to fill out these timesheets. We know if timesheets are cumbersome and annoying, it's going to be difficult for people to find the will to search through every single metric. So we want to ensure with things like filters, permissions, validations, and searching that you can really fill out this timesheet with ease. A couple other ways that we make this timesheet filling out process as simplified as possible is if we're working on the same thing all week and the only thing that's going to be changing, we can actually just duplicate this whole row. And we can actually overwrite this timesheet with a number of different metrics. So we can actually allocate our hours directly based on, overtime, double time, triple time, whatever the case may be. We can actually overwrite this timesheet with our previous timesheets, including or excluding time data, and we can overwrite it with our scheduled hours. So again, we're just making this quick and efficient for everyone involved. And as I start filling out this timesheet, you'll see a couple different things here change. So on the right-hand side of my screen, you will see we have this progress bar. That is a lot of hours for that week. But as we fill out these timesheets, this progress bar is obviously going to grow, and that's going to show us how close to completion we are on a specific task. And again, this is just allow our resources to understand exactly where they are on this specific project. So in this instance, we can see implementation, as we saw previously, is a little bit over our estimate. And this will be a good indicator to our resource that they should have a chat with their manager, let them know that things are running over time a little bit and that things need to be reined in. So again, we're not hemorrhaging time. But we'll cover that in a little bit more detail in just a second here. But if I've gone ahead and entered my time and everything is looking good, we'll also see that I have these little check boxes here. And this is a new feature in Replicon, and this is called time entries. So we know previously if you had a weekly time period and you were submitting a timesheet at the end of every week, that kind of made it difficult if you did things on a daily basis. For example, if you were sending out billing or costing information, you wanted to be able to export that on a daily basis. So now we have a bifurcation of these timesheets. And again, this is fully configurable. If you just prefer a traditional weekly timesheet, then you can turn off these time entries. But again, we want to give our customers the option so that these timesheets can be exactly what you need them to be. So if I'm submitting daily information for costing, I can go ahead and submit this one time entry every time I work on it. And this will be sent to a project manager, for example. Then at the end of the week, I can submit this whole timesheet, and this will be sent to someone else, like say a payroll manager, for example. So we are ensuring that this information gets where it needs to go at the right time. But in this instance, it looks like I've finished my work for the week. It was a good Monday to Friday, a couple extra hours at the end there. But let's see what happens when I try to go ahead and submit this timesheet. So the first thing we'll see actually is an example of our validation rules within the platform. And validation rules are certain parameters that must be met every single timesheet is submitted. They cover things like minimum hours entered, maximum hours entered, hours during a rolling period, maximum overtime, mandatory break enforcement. There are so many, and they are all configurable, so we can ensure that you are keeping these timesheets clean and accurate. And from here, we can see that I forgot to accept this attestation on the bottom here. So I'll get a gentle reminder to go ahead and accept and submit if I want to submit this timesheet. I also have the option to enter comments as mandated by my employer, but nothing of note here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to submit this timesheet. But I will give you a little bit of a spoiler alert. This timesheet will be rejected. So this can actually be one of the results of our validation rules. We can actually mandate that these timesheets are rejected to ensure that they are clean and accurate and put the onus on the end user. We all know the pain of going back and forth fixing timesheets after they've already been submitted. You send an email to your resource, hey, do you need this to be changed? Yes to what? This, no, this. And it's just a whole headache, and we want to avoid that if at all possible. So here we can see that my time entered for the task financial data reporting fixes implementation has exceeded our estimated 1,000 hours. So maybe we set this threshold to 100% of the estimated time, 200%, 150%, whatever the case may be. Once this threshold has been breached, these timesheets will be rejected. So no longer can I think, maybe I should have a chat with my manager. Now I have to have a chat with my manager. And maybe they didn't realize that this specific task was kind of creeping over in time. So now this has been brought to their attention. We'll be able to work together to get this task closed out. And then we will also be able to work together now to submit this timesheet. And we wanted this process to be as easy as possible for everyone. So we also give you a number of different options when it comes to these timesheet configurations, as I had mentioned a little bit earlier. And we are going to explore a couple of those right away here. So with Chris, we can actually see he has a little bit more of a relaxed timesheet. He's just simply entering the amount of hours that he has worked per day. Now, what you'll see that's a little different is this timesheet was actually submitted even though he has triggered one of these validation rules. And this in this instance was because, well, it is expected that Chris sometimes may be working a little bit of overtime, but we want this flagged so we can drill down and make sure everything is looking clean and accurate. And so as we can see, he caused one of these validation warnings to trigger. And if this is inaccurate, we can actually go back and reopen this timesheet and adjust things as necessary. But like we said before, we want to put the onus on the end user. And so we can actually allow Chris to go back and reopen this timesheet at any given point in time. So we can actually allow him to reopen this timesheet always. We can allow him to reopen this timesheet only before it's been approved, or we can allow him to reopen this timesheet never. And you don't have to worry, our platform is intelligent. So if things are changed, everything will be adjusted to the appropriate deltas when it comes to payroll, for example. So everything is taken care of within the platform. But if Chris does go back and dive into this timesheet and change things, we will be able to see this all in the approval history on the bottom here. So there is a complete and transparent log of everything that has happened on this project. Now, another example of a timesheet that we have within Replicon is the custom timesheet. So as we can see with Kurt Jones has a different looking timesheet than we've seen previously. Not only is Kurt able to log the exact hours that he has worked on this specific project, task, and activity, but he also has a couple of custom fields here. One of those is for comments. And right now, with everyone working from home, comments are so important because it just really allows us to understand where successes are happening, where people might need help, and just gives us that kind of daily cadence of understanding what our resources are up to. But we can only understand what they are up to if they do remember to enter these comments. And as we can see, Chris has forgotten. So I can have a discussion with Kurt and remind him, Kurt, these are really important. We need you to submit these comments. And now for the next week, maybe I change his timesheet to actually outright reject these comments. So it shows us that these timesheets are versatile and can be changed on a week-to-week basis to ensure that our needs are being met at that given point in time. We can also see that there is a mileage tab at the end here, and this is a custom field. This could say mileage, it could be units complete, it could be photo proof of the work that was done during the day. What we are trying to show is not only can we create a different timesheet for every single user in your organization, but we can feasibly create a different timesheet for every scenario. Maybe you have an employee that's going to be working from home, working from the office, working from the road, and maybe a combination of all three. You want to make sure that they have a timesheet that is accurate for each of these different scenarios. And that is what we give you with Replicon. We give you so many options when it comes to configuring these timesheets. You can make them exactly what you need them to be. And we also support different methods of entering your time, such as time punching. So if I hop over to my cost tab, I'll be able to see every single timesheet that has ever been submitted to me. But right now I have it sorted by Thomas because Thomas has a great example of our time punches. So this is what it looks like on the back end of a time punch sheet. And we have a couple of different ways that you can punch in and punch out. You can punch in, punch out from a desktop. You can punch in, punch out from the mobile app, which I'll show you in a second. We also have a cloud clock, which replaces the traditional kind of clock in, clock out machine. It's touchless, so it can actually do facial recognition. It can scan a badge and clock you in that way. You can also navigate the menus with your voice, so you don't have to touch any screens or anything, especially right now. We know that's important for a lot of organizations. And it really allows employees to clock in, clock out, change their activities, tasks, or take their break with efficiency. But we know this can add up to a lot on a timesheet. And for some end users, this might be difficult to manage because they don't understand what is overtime, what is regular time, what is double time, which of these hours should be allocated where. So we make that easy. And again, all these punches in and punches out can be allocated with our timesheet hours. And based on the payroll that we have assigned to this user, everything will be distributed on this grid on the bottom in the click of a button. And we wanted this ease of use to transfer over to every single situation. So we also allow you to access Replicon on the mobile app. And our mobile app was created from the ground up to ensure that you are able to access this information wherever and whenever. So when we first log in, we will be usually greeted by chatbot, but I have skipped that today because fortunately we don't have any time to explore chatbot, but chatbot can answer questions and streamline processes. But right away, you will see an example of our clock in, clock out. So not only can we clock in and clock out towards specific projects, clients, and tasks, again, everything is searchable, and it will also give us suggestions based on our previous submissions for that week. We can take breaks, we can select our client, project, and task when we're transferring, and we can clock out. We will also see that I have a more traditional timesheet available to me. Now, this isn't typical. We usually either have clock in and clock out, or we have a timesheet, but this is just a webinar. So we're all about the examples today. And again, here, I can add my time towards specific projects, clients, task, hours, and simply click add, and I will have that timesheet submitted. And we wanted this process not only to be easy for the end user, but also for our approvers. So anytime there is an action that needs you to, take action on, you'll be sent a notification or via push or email, and you can drill down into your mobile app and see if you have any expenses, time off, or timesheets waiting for your approval. And from here, I can drill down into every single one of these timesheets and understand exactly what happened. So you can see in this example, Tammy Benson's worked the Monday to Friday, 8 hours a day. We can see her payroll summary, and we can also see that she hasn't triggered any of these validation rules. So this looks like a timesheet that is ready to be approved. But we know that going through thousands or hundreds or even tens of these business as usual timesheets is not an efficient use of time. So since we have these permissions and validation rules in place, we know the time is going to be clean and accurate. We can actually set these business as usual timesheets to approve automatically. And this saves not only our administrators a ton of time, but it allows your payroll to be done much more efficiently and your users to understand exactly how their hours are affecting the organization. And maybe you don't want these hours to approve automatically. You can also set up custom approval processes. This can be 1-step approval, 2-step approval, 12-step approval. Again, whatever makes sense for your organization. And our mobile app also has a ton of other features that make sure that you can track your time in whatever makes sense for your organization. So if you're using punches, for example, you can actually set up geofences and geotags. And this just allows you to understand not only where they punch in and out from, but you can actually control this. So if you only want them to be able to punch in from work or punch in from home office, depending on where they're working, you can set up those geofences. You can actually mandate that a photo must be taken to avoid buddy punching. And again, this is all configurable. So if you don't want to have these features activated, you don't have to have them, but the options do exist. So you can really control this punch in, punch out process. Or maybe you work with a crew and you're actually responsible for entering the time for your team. You will have these crew timesheets. Everyone that is on your team, so that you are responsible for, will be visible here, and you can go ahead and add time entries for that specific user. So again, we are just giving you so many different options when it comes to capturing the time for your organization. So now that we have a better understanding of how our projects work within the platform, how we staff these projects, and how we log our time towards them, now we need to put all this data to good use. And we do this in a number of ways. One is we have our timesheets tab. So if we head over to our costing tab, we will, again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, be able to view every single timesheet that has ever been submitted in the history of our organization. Now we can search by rejected, waiting for approval, not submitted, and we can follow up as necessary. But we will also have our time workbench available to us. And our time workbench is the culmination of every single point of data that we have entered. And this is important for a couple of reasons. One, maybe we're looking at doing chargebacks internally. We just want to understand exactly where specific hours were being used so that we know who to charge internally. Or maybe we're looking at an R&D tax credit, and the guidelines for submitting for these R&D tax credits are so specific, and we need to keep meticulous track of every single second of time that we are using as an organization. And our time workbench allows us to organize this time and export it as necessary. So as you'll see, we can filter through different approvals, time entry statuses, export statuses, locations. And once we have the information that we need to export, well, we're bilateral, so we can get that to any platform in our ecosystem. A couple that I currently have plugged into this platform are JD Edwards, Oracle, PeopleSoft, and SAP, but by no means is this the exhaustive list. we can basically interface with any ecosystem that is out there. And if all else fails, we always have download as the trusty CSV, which is basically compatible with any format under the sun. But this just ensures your data always is able to get exactly where it needs to go. And once we have exported this data, we are going to want to understand how it affects our organization. So we have a number of different ways that we can really visualize what this data is doing for our company. And one of those is through our dashboards. And dashboards are the living, breathing culmination, and they are updated in real time, and they are perfect for exporting into slideshows, presentations for leadership, or just giving anyone who wants to understand what is happening with an organization a quick glance at how things are going. And these are all configurable, so we can add to or subtract from these dashboards, and we can actually drill down at any point in time. So if there's something that piques my interest, I can get all the raw data. And if I want to find out more, so for example, I want to see where our costs are being or who's incurring our cost on our customer billing system, I can drill down and I'll be given a quick list of everyone who's working on this project. And these dashboards are configurable and they can show numerous points of data. So we really, again, have full control over how these are visualized. Another way that we can display your information to is through reports. And I'm sure you've seen a report or 3 or 50 in your history. And that is because they are so important. They give us all that hardline data behind our organization. And these, again, are kind of the most requested reports that we have from our customers, but by no means is this the exhaustive list. You can build these from the ground up. We can create custom reports. You can also adjust these slightly so that they display the information that you need when you need it. And these can be scheduled to run daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever the case may be, sent to anyone with an email address, or they can be run on the spot, like you'll see here. So if we want to drill down and understand what our costs look like on every single project in our organization, we can run our project costing report. This is going to break down our actual cost, our estimated cost, and our estimated expenses, and really understand how these are going to affect our organization. And finally, we want to ensure that our platform is able to interact with your whole ecosystem and really unleash that data in a meaningful way. So we can connect to BI tools like Tableau, Google BigQuery, and Power BI to really display your information in the most meaningful way. And if you have a BI expert at your team, you can really visualize this in infinite amounts of ways. And if you don't have a BI expert, that is okay too, because we have these pre-downloaded workbooks, and all you have to do is plug in your instance, which is basically logging in, and you will have all of your information visualized like you see here. So not only can we drill down into things like our time allocation, we can also understand our project analyzer, project users, productivity analyzer. We can really drill down into these analytics and understand not only where we are using your time, but how it is affecting our organization. So I really hope today you were able to get a good picture of how Replicon can not only help us adjust to any of these changes that are happening in the world right now, but really ensure that we are able to adapt to anything that happens in the future. Replicon is on the cloud, it is versatile, it is adaptable, and it can be configured to meet all of your needs. And it is the tool for all of your time tracking woes that may be currently happening, and we are going to help you solve all of them with ease. So that is going to bring us to the end of our live demo today. We're going to hop back into our PowerPoint and we're going to do a quick wrap up, take a look at a couple of customer examples, and finally we have some time for a Q&A with all of you folks. So as you saw today, Replicon is capable of so much. We can help you decrease your costing errors, increase resource utilization, decrease administrative overhead. The list goes on. Replicon is so powerful because it is the time intelligence platform, and we can see that in action with a couple of our customers. So our first example is an 800-employee computer software company. Now, they had an on-premises system that they used when they first started up, but unfortunately, this was not designed to scale. So as they grew, this made all of their time tracking cumbersome. It limited their insight and prevented effective forecasting. And when it came to R&D tax credit claiming time, well, things were not necessarily audit proof. But after implementing our platform, they had accurate and effective hours attribution to all of their projects. They spent less time tracking and more time working on the important projects. They had a full audit for all their R&D tax credits, so they could always go back and ensure everything was clean and accurate. And they had that centralized solution with robust reporting that provided meaningful data to their whole organization. Another example we have is this 300-employee consulting firm. Now, I know it's scary to think about, but they were using manual spreadsheets to track your data. Shudder, I know. And this made it, well, tough to say the least to manage their cash flows. It made billing an utter nightmare, and this affected their profitability. But after implementing Replicon, they had a user-friendly interface that facilitated accurate and consistent data collection. This improved their resource management, allowed for better staffing, and created faster and more accurate billing. So as you saw in action today, Replicon is the comprehensive suite made up of multiple solutions, and they are mix and match. We did dive a little bit more into the project time and costing today, but Replicon is capable of so much. And if you have any questions about what you saw today, you can always contact me. My email is curtis.dohanic@replicon.com. And my name is Curtis. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can always send them off to me or anyone at the Replicon organization. We will be happy to answer everyone. But other than that, I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I know how valuable everyone's time is, and I appreciate it that you spent a bit of it with us. So I hope you're all staying happy, staying healthy, staying safe. Take care. We hope to hear from you soon, and enjoy the rest of your day.